okay? So what we're going to do is each of you are going to come up and you're going to write your shoe size on a sticky note. Now let me show you, because I'm going to do my shoe size first, okay? Now we're going to do line plots today. Did you figure that out since there's a line and it says line plots? Okay? So are you ready for this? You're going to drag out a sticky note, change it to the pen, and write your shoe size on there. How's that sound? Okay? I'll take care of all the technology here in a minute. But that's what size I wear. Okay, so I'm going to pause it while we do all that so that the video doesn't take so long. Sound good? Okay. All right, let's take a look at this now. We've got our shoe sizes written on a sticky note, okay? And I need to make a line plot here. In order to make that line plot, I need to have some numbers on it, don't I?
Yes.
So help me, what would the smallest number I need be?
2.
A 2. And I'm going to write below it. Why do you think I'm writing below it?
2.
Why?
I'm going to write X's on the top.
Because I'm going to put X's above, okay? Shh. So the largest, now think about this before you answer. In fact, I feel like pulling a stick here. The largest shoe size or number I need.
8.
Okay, but how am I going to know where to put 8.5? No, on the number line, how will I know? Should we just put a whole number on there?
Yes.
What whole number?
9.
9. 9. Okay. So now I got to do between 2 and 9. Okay? So 9 minus 2 is 7.
Yep.
So I'm going to need 6 tick marks, right? Is that right?
6.
Because I need 7 spaces, so I need 6 tick marks?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do 6 tick marks very easily. How's that? Now let's see if this works out. 3. It did.
Then you need to
Okay, so now Cheney says let's do some halves. I know this one isn't very good, is it? It's too close together, but I don't think I'm going to write half because I think you can figure out where to put the halves, don't you think?
Yeah.
Okay, hold still. Quit tapping. All right, so your next step, and you're going to have to get in line right here and swing it around like you did, is to drag your sticky note to the correct place. Just yours. So you have to go find yours and put it where it goes, okay? I'm not messing around with mine. I'll just leave it down here. Thank you. All right, so we've got these recorded. Make this a true line plot. What would I need to do now? X's, okay? So I'm going to switch to the pen and make X's. And I think I'm just going to get rid of these sticky notes for now, just by moving them up. Is that okay with all of you? I'm going to pause it while I do that. Okay, so how many X's did I need here? 1. When I make the X, I want to make sure that I am trying to make them about the same height all the way across and the same size. Okay, the next X I needed was 3.5?
Yeah.
Okay. And I needed 2. And then 2 on the 4. 2 on the 4.5.
1 on the 1.
Okay.
2 on the 6.
Okay.
2 on the 6. What? No, 1.
Are there any 6s?
There's one right there. One right there.
A plain 6?
No.
Whole number
no,
6?
No.
Okay.
No, please. There's 6.
Okay.
2.
2 6.5s.
1 7.
Okay.
3 7.
3 7.5s.
And 1 8.
And 1 8.5. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this data we collected. This is data or data, however you want to say it. And there are some questions you're going to have to answer. Now, I'm just going to use some of them from the application problem. The first question says, what is the shoe measurement of the smallest shoe?
2.
2, okay? Or size 2, right? Okay. How many shoes measure 6.5? 2. How many shoes measure 8.5? 1. Okay. So you know how to answer a question like that. Okay. What is the measurement of the largest shoe?
8.5.
8.5. Okay. Now here's the trick question. What is the most frequent shoe measurement?
7.5.
Wow. So what does frequent mean?
More.
Most, more?
Average.
No, don't say average, okay? Average is something we're not talking about right now, but I am going to teach it to you real quick at a later date. Okay, so right now, what we're going to do is answer the last question. Now, I saw someone writing with their pencil on their paper earlier, and now I see some people trying to pick up their pencils now. Please don't worry about your paper right now, okay? I want to finish this question. So here's the final question. What is the total of all the shoe measurements? We have to add them up, okay? So now what I want you to do, and I know you don't have scratch paper, but you have a pretty big spot right here on the edge of your paper. So let's use this area right here. And we're going to, you don't have to copy any of this down, okay? You're just going to copy down what we figure out as we go through this. So right now, here's what I want to do. And I'm going to put these in a different color so we don't get confused, okay? So the measurement, total measurement right here is 2, right? Whoops. 2. Okay. Now what's my total measurement here? 3.5
1.
plus 3.5.
7.
7. How'd you get 7?
3.5 plus 3.5. 3 plus 3 is 6 and 1/2 plus 1/2.
I love it. 3 plus 3 is 6 and 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1. So that makes 7. So write down a 7 next. Okay? 4 plus 4,
8.
8. Now do you know why I'm taking 4 twice?
Because there's
Because I have 2 x's, okay? 4.5 twice. Don't say it. I'm going to pull a stick. What was it?
9.
And 1 measurement of 5, or 1 copy of 5. 2 copies of 5.5. Beverly.
5 plus 5 would be 10, and then
You're right. Okay. The next one, Cheney, 6.5, 2 copies of 6.5.
13.
Mm-hmm. And 1 copy of 7.
7.
3 copies of 7.5. Abdiel. Now I would do 7.5 plus 7.5 plus 7.5. I would add up my 7s. So what's that? 21. Then I would add a half plus a half. So that'd be 22. And then I have another. Okay. So now when I do math, I like my fractions at the end. So I've been having the kids erase or cross off the fractions, add them up, and then if there's a fraction left over, move it to the end. We don't have anything to move to. What's a half plus a half?
1.
Okay, so let's just add a 1 on the end. Okay? So write a 1 on the end. Now we're going to simply add these numbers. This is not going to be hard to add, but there are times when we will have to do a little bit of standard algorithm. Okay? So let's add some in our head and let's write some of them down. So 2 plus 7, what's that?
9.
9. 9 plus 8?
17.
17. 17 plus 9?
27. 28.
Okay, so we've got 17 right here. We're going to add 9. We're going to figure this out.
Oh, 26.
What is it?
26.
26. So write 26 here. This is a method I've been using today, and it works pretty well. 26 plus 5.
31.
Okay, write 31 down. 31 plus 11.
42. 42, I mean.
42. So write that down. 42 plus 13. Add it up.
55.
55. 55 plus 7.
62. 62. 61.
Write it down. 60. Oh my. 62. Okay, 62 plus 22.
84.
Good, we all agree on that. 84 plus 8.
92.
Are you doing the math on your paper? Or are you just having me do it for you? And 92 plus 1. So the total of the measurements is 93. Okay? The reason I wanted you to have this experience of adding these up is because on the homework page that we're going to do in class, hopefully, if we have time, you have to add them up. Okay? All right, let's keep going. So it's the measurement of something else. I just don't know what it is. Okay? In the lesson, they were actually measuring little plants. They planted a bean seed, and they measured how tall their bean plant got. So we could think of that. You know, some of the bean plants were 3 inches tall. So before I do anything else, I want to look at number 2. Because number 2, we're just going to do together verbally. It says, explain how you decided to divide your wholes into fractional parts and how you decided to where your number scale should begin and end. Okay? So first of all, we're not ready to draw this line plot yet, but when we get ready to, what's the smallest number I'm going to put on it? No, I don't want to start with a fraction, I don't think. So 1, I want to start with the number 1. What's the highest number? 4. Good. Okay, so you're going to take your ruler, and I'm going to take my straight line tool. I know. And don't put it too close to the numbers because we're going to make X's above it.
It wasn't bad to go close to it.
Okay, so whoops. Guess I better change the color of my pen here. Okay, so my line plot is going to end with 4, and it's going to start with 1. Are you with me? Then I need a 2 and a 3 on here. And I don't want you to work ahead for a few minutes here. You're going to do some of this on your own in a little bit. Okay, so I need to look at my fractions to decide how many equal parts I need between my wholes. So what denominators do you see up there? 4 and 2. So can I do fourths and halves in the same number line? Yeah, that's called a ruler or a tape measure. Okay, so we're going to start with the halves. So I'm going to make my halves a little bit bigger than my fourths. So there's my halves. Divide each whole number in half, right? And then my fourths I'm going to make tiny. So I can kind of tell the difference between a half and a fourth. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. And this is not my best number line ever. I really want to move the 2 over. I'm just going to deal with it. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at how many X's are we going to need to have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We'll need 11 when it's all said and done. So my first x I'm going to put at 1.5. And then I'm going to just cross that off with one line. My second x, where am I going to put it? 2 3/4. So that's going to go over here. And you understand, boys and girls, help me say these numbers real quick before we go any further. 1, 1 1/4, 1.5, 1 3/4, 2, 2 1/4, 2 1/2, 2 3/4. Are you saying these with me? 3, 3 1/4, 3 1/2, 3 3/4, 4. Okay? So we're going to get these in the right places. And when you're done, check yours with mine. Okay, double check mine to make sure I did it right. Okay, we good? Got those on there? Now, I'm going to ask you some questions that you might hear. What is the smallest measurement? 1.5. And it's going to be the number that's closest to 0. Okay? So if it says the smallest measurement, just like our smallest shoe size was the smallest number on there. Okay? Closest to 0. What measurement was the most frequent?
2 3/4.
2 3/4 or 2 3/4. Good. What was the largest measurement?
3
3 3/4. Okay, so those are some questions you're going to get. We're going to practice some questions now, and then you're going to try one of these on your own. Okay. Now I got these questions off of Zern because they're pretty good, and I thought they were going to be some words that you might need to know. Okay. So let's turn the page. Now this says length of insects. Okay? And we'll just write our answer up here. So the first one is, what was the shortest measurement? 1.5. The one closest to 0. See that? So I'm just going to write 1.5 there. Okay, let's see what the next one is. Which insect measurement was the most frequent?
3 1/2. 2.5.
2.5. Halfway between 2 and 3, right? So 2.5. Okay. Is there another one on this page?
Yes.
Okay, we'll keep going. Now this one's kind of tricky. What was the shortest measurement? Don't shout it out. I want everyone to have to think. Okay, I'm going to pull a stick. Jason, what do you think it is?
1 3/4.
Well, no, because 1 3/4 would be here. What was the smallest measurement? Which one was closest to 0? No, here's 1.5. So what would this one be? It's tricky. What do you think, class?
1 1/4.
1 1/4. So here's what you've got. And when you do this, there's no rule that says you can't write this down if you're confused. See what I just did? Okay? But you still have to know this is 1 1/4, 1.5, 1 3/4. Okay? All right, let's go to the next page. So on this one it says, which measurement was the most frequent? Is that the same answer again?
Yeah.
Okay. 1 and, what went here?
1/4.
1 and 1/4. It's just a different question, wasn't it? Okay, now you get a chance to do this on your own. So here are the directions, okay? I want you to plot the following data points. Now, let's count how many there are, okay? So 1/4, 3/4, 1 whole. This one goes together. 1 and 3/4 goes together, okay? So don't put 1 and then put 3/4. It's all together. So let's see how many we got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So when you're done, you're going to need 7 X's. Now, let's figure out the largest and smallest. What's the smallest number we need?
1/4. 0.
You're not going to want to start with a fraction, so who said 0? That's right. 1/4 is the smallest on here, but we've got to use a whole number. And the highest number we need?
3, 4.
It goes past 3. 4. Good. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Now, what are the denominators?
1.
So we got fourths and we got halves again, don't we? So do you remember? Okay, this time I'm doing it right. That looks terrible. Do you remember how I put the halves in first? Because I made those a little longer, didn't I? And then I went back and put the fourths in. Okay, now I want to say these one more time together before you start putting your X's on. And I'm going to pause it while you put your X's on. So this would be what?
1/4.
1/4, 1/2, 3/4. 1. 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4. Say it with me. 2. 2 1/4, 2 1/2, 2 3/4. Got the idea? Okay, I'm going to pause it while we put our X's on. Okay, so I just counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm pretty sure, are yours in the same place as mine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we're going to go ahead and finish the rest of these questions. Okay, I feel like you can do the first 3 on your own and then wait for me on the last one. Because I'm going to give you a little hint. Okay, so do the first 3 on your own, the shortest, the longest, and the most frequent. And you're going to use this line plot to help you. And then I'm going to pull sticks. Okay, Nancy, what was the shortest measurement?
1/4.
1/4. So that's all I have to write. Okay. Diana, what was the longest measurement?
1 and
5? Are you sure? 3 and 1/4. Is that what you got, boys and girls? Okay, because I might have put it in the wrong place. Okay, which measurement was the most frequent? Isai?
1 and 3/4.
1 3/4. And you remember how I told you you could make sure you're right by just putting the fractions on there if you need to. Okay? So don't forget that little trick. Now, what is the total length of all the measurements? Here's the deal. I'm not going to be able to put the fraction in the calculator. Okay? So we need to talk about how to write or how to put each one of these numbers in. So how would I put 1/4 into a calculator?
0.75.
1/4.
0.75.
And you don't need to put the 0 in the calculator. Okay? You don't have to put it in front unless you just want to. How would you do 1/2?
0.5.
0.5. Okay? And I'll do this one here. How would you do, well, why don't I do it over here? How would you do 3/4? 3/4. 0.75. So think of quarters. Don't start yet. Listen, I want to make sure you know what you're doing. When you get to 1 3/4 here, you're going to type 1.75. Okay? And I cannot remember what the total was in the last class. Yes, I can. Okay. So you're going to get an answer that has a decimal in it. Do it a couple times until you get the same thing twice, and I'm going to pause it while you're adding these up. Okay, so 1/4 would be 0.25 plus 0.75 plus 1. Okay, did you get 11.25?
Yeah.
Okay, how would I write 11.25 as a fraction?
11 1/4.
Nancy, what were you going to say?
11
11 1/4. So as a fraction, I would write 11 1/4, or you could write the decimal 11.25. Okay? Now, let's add another question down here. Average, sometimes called the mean. Do you remember how we did the average earlier? You can look at the board to figure it out.
Divided the answer.
So we've got a total, right? 11.25 divided by the number of x's. 7. So put that in your calculator. See what you get. And I've already got it in there, so I'm just going to put divided by. Divided by 7.
There's a big.
Oh, it's a big number. So I'll show you how to make that something we can understand, okay? There's kind of a rule in math that mathematicians know about. You just round it to the nearest hundredth, usually, okay? So 1.6, what would that 0 round to? 1, because 7 means add 1 is the game. Remember your wrap? So the average on these measurements is 1.61. Okay? All right, let's look at what we're doing next. Aren't you glad you have a calculator? Okay, this is what you're going to do for grade. But this is really kind of tricky. So everybody turn it over. I think that number line's too short. I think we could make one longer at the very bottom or the very top. Probably the very bottom, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to look at these measurements. It says use the data in the table to create a line plot using 1/8. So this one's going to be tricky. Okay? We might actually even have to label it. So I'm going to put a straight line at the bottom, and I'm going to leave myself enough room to put x's above and whole numbers below, hopefully. And make it as long as you can, as wide as your paper. And then I'm going to make this a little, well, maybe. There we go. So what's the highest number I need here?
2.
I can't even see it. It's so small on mine. Let's go with that. Nope.
Yep, 2.
There we go. So 2's the highest because that's 1 and 1 1/4. Okay? But we've got to show eighths. So how are we going to do this?
Make it really, really small.
Okay? So the highest number is 2. That means it starts with 0, right? And it ends with 2. And then we've got 1 in the middle. Oh, I can do eighths on this. Okay? So I'm going to mark my half. And then I think I'm going to say a half. What do you think? Because we've got fourths and eighths. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Does it have 3/8? Oh, it does. Okay. So I'm going to do fourths next. And then I'm going to do eighths, which are going to be teeny tiny. Okay, got that much done?
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to mark my fourths. So this one's going to be 1/4. What will this one be? 3/4. So make sure you get those in the right place. 1/4, 3/4. And this is actually just like a ruler. Wish I could see this better. Okay, so the words are out of the way. So now I want to mark my eighths. Whoops, get on pen, Mrs. Lewis. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8. What's this one? 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. Okay, again, 1/8, 2/8. 2/8 is the same thing as 1/4, right? So 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. So if I had to, boys and girls, look at this. Down here I could put 2/8. So I know there's 2 ways to write this. Okay? Down here, what could I put? What's the same thing as 1/2? 4/8. Yeah. What about this one? Was it 6/8?
Yeah.
So if you had to, you could just keep labeling. So you're not going to mess anything up. Okay? But I didn't see a 6/8 over there. I just saw a 3/8. Okay? Now you're ready to start putting your X's on and start answering the questions. And should I add a question?
Average.
Yes. So we're going to put E. What is the average? Now I want to put it back down at the bottom in case someone isn't finished labeling. All right, you know what you're doing?
Yep.
Okay.